At long last, Toyota has finally unveiled the all-new Land Cruiser Prado, which is dubbed the 250 series. According to the Japanese carmaker, a back-to-basics approach was taken when developing the light-duty model in order to create a simple and sturdy vehicle that can be trusted by customers to fulfill their lifestyle choices and practical needs. Now built on the TNGA-F version of the Toyota New Global Architecture, TNGA, the Prado shares its platform with the 300 series Land Cruiser as well as the latest Lexus GX and LX. As such, the Prado improves upon the previous model with a 50% increase in frame rigidity and a 30% increase in overall rigidity. Toyota also claims better basic suspension performance with improved wheel articulation, and the Prado will use a double wishbones at the front with twin-tube shocks and a multi-link rear with coil springs. The shift to electric power steering is a first for the Prado, as is the use of the stabilizer disconnect mechanism, SDM, that enables the front stabilizer stake to be changed via a switch to deliver driving performance and ride comfort when off-road and handling stability when on-road. Multi-terrain monitor and multi-terrain select are other systems that help when traversing rough terrain. The new Prado is also a much larger vehicle when compared to its predecessor, measuring in at 4,925 mm long, plus 100 mm, 1,980 mm wide, plus 95 mm, 1,870 mm tall, plus 20 mm, and with a wheelbase of 2,850 mm, plus 60 mm. It should be pointed out that the Prado's wheelbase is identical to the 300 series Land Cruiser, GX and LX, while its length and width are within range of the first two models listed for comparison. Historically, the Prado has been smaller than the full-sized Land Cruiser, but the redesigned model minimizes the differentiation in size. The larger footprint is important for the North American market, which the Prado will enter for the first time. In that region, it will simply be called the Land Cruiser, no Prado, and serves to replace the 200 series Land Cruiser that was discontinued in 2021. The Prado will also be sold in Europe. Deliveries in all regions are scheduled to commence in 2024. Design-wise, the Prado bears a strong resemblance to the GX with its boxy, angular shape that features strong wheel arches, a stepped belt line, thin pillars, and raised bonnet. The 250 series gets two front ends, with the first being inspired by the 70 series and featuring circular headlamps and turn signals at the edges. The other option has a more modern aesthetic with slimmer, angular headlamps, although both versions get the same rectangular grille, skid plate, and square-themed mesh over the intakes. Progressing down the sides, the similarities continue with large side mirrors and black body cladding, although the retro-inspired option gains roof rails and side steps. And for the rear, both have the same taillight design and a skid plate located just under a ruggedized boot lip. The interior design is standardized for the 250 series regardless of the face you prefer. Toyota says visibility was improved by implementing a low-set cowl and instrument panel top surface, the low belt line, and a shorter mirror-to-mirror width. From the driver's seat, controls are easily accessed and intuitive to use, with the company opting not to squeeze everything into the wide touchscreen that sits on the dashboard. As such, there are dedicated physical buttons and dials for the 3-zone climate system, drive modes, 4-wheel drive system, and media playback. The driver will also be gripping a chunky steering wheel and peering into a digital instrument cluster. The Prado will come with the Toyota Safety Sense suite of advanced driver assistance systems as standard, as well as 3 rows of seats. As for powertrains, 5 options are available for the 250 series Land Cruiser Prado depending on the market it is sold in. For North America and China, the off-road SUV is powered by a hybridized T24A-F TS 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine with 330 PS, 326 horsepower or 243 kilowatts, and 630 Nm of torque, mated to an 8-speed direct shift ADAT. In the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and selected markets, the engine is a non-hybridized T24A-F TS making 281 PS, 278 horsepower or 207 kilowatts, and 430 Nm, also with a direct shift ADAT. Next up, Australia and Western Europe gets a 1GD FTV 2.8-liter inline-4 turbo diesel with a 48-volt mild hybrid system that is rated at 204 PS, 201 horsepower or 150 kilowatts, and 500 Nm, again, with a direct shift ADAT. This setup is particularly important, as it could also feature in the Hilux next year. Western Europe also gets the 1GD FTV without the mild hybrid system, but retaining the direct shift ADAT and identical outputs, with this combination also applicable to Eastern Europe, Japan, Middle East, and other selected markets. The last engine on the list is the 2TR FE 2.7-liter naturally aspirated inline 4-cylinder petrol with 163 PS, 161 horsepower or 120 kilowatts, and 246 Nm. This mill is for Eastern Europe, Japan, and other unnamed markets, paired with a 6-speed Super ECT automatic gearbox.